Welcome to Fort Fritz. I am your host, Fritz, joined as always by co-host Mandaddy.
Hi.
Kaz.
Hi.
And Angela.
Hi.
What is Fort Fritz, you might be asking yourself? Well, that's a very good question, of which we have no answers.
None. We have no idea what we're doing.
We don't know.
It's tough.
We just stumble in here.
We will entertain the hell out of you if it falls into the paranormal, supernatural, or otherwise.
Pop culture.
Yeah.
Terrible things in human history.
Sure.
Local stuff.
Local stuff, of course. By the way, great segue, Angela. I have an interview with someone who is absolutely fascinating. But before I jump into that, after the interview, Mandaddy, well, he saw something. He reviewed it. But was it any good? Coming up, he's going to talk about Silence, the Netflix movie. Angela is going to give us the season 8 premiere of the always popular Game of Thrones. It's the last season.
Final
The
season.
final season.
And Kaz has a story about Marvel characters who have been embattled in a graphic novel feud for a long time now, right?
No, well, kind of.
More on that later. Right now, joining us via phone call is Mike St. Lawrence of the St. Lawrence Insurance Company. He has a very niche market, aliens and alien abduction. Mike St. Lawrence, welcome to Fort Fritz.
That's correct. I'm the head of the St. Lawrence Agency and the person that's offering $10 million alien abduction insurance.
So can you tell us a little bit about what made you want to insure people who have been abducted by UFOs?
Well, this goes way back. Actually, we started this in 1987 when I was watching a program on TV, the Larry King interview show, if you remember. It was on CNN about 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, of course.
And he was interviewing an author who had just released a book called Communion. Okay, it's the one with the alien on the cover, Whitley Strieber. And he was a Pulitzer Prize-winning author that had a best-selling book about people being abducted. After I saw that individual, the author on Larry King, I went and I checked my homeowner's policy to see if I was covered for a risk like this. And I wasn't. So along with a group of concerned friends and a strong Japanese investor, we started the UFO Abduction Insurance Company back then. My brother was with me, and he happened to mention, he said, you ought to do something on that when he left. And I really didn't know that much about the UFO phenomena, but I wrote a policy in about 15 minutes, and we're still selling it 32 years later.
The same policy?
It's only been a few minor changes. When we first started, we referred to it as UFO abduction insurance, and the general public adopted alien abduction insurance. So I didn't want to change it because I liked the UFO abduction insurance name better. But about 10 years ago, I shifted it over to alien abduction insurance, and I thought that Canadians and Mexicans could put me out of business in 2 weeks if they wanted to, because they're aliens. If they came in and abducted somebody, I would
Gotcha.
Oh, okay.
Mike, one of the things that kind of hit me hardest was I heard about this from Mysterious Universe, and then I also read on Miami Herald that for whatever reason you popped back up in the news, so I decided to call you because the St. Lawrence Insurance Agency is based out of Altamont Springs, Florida, right?
That's correct.
So when I called you, one of the first things that you asked me was, why now are you contacting me?
Well, I was curious how you found out about us, because, and I just done an interview with the Tampa Bay Times. That's the actual article that you saw in the Miami Herald. It's the same article. And it gets syndicated around the country. Not all the country, the APY or something like that. They pick up stories when they see them.
What in that article, did you say something outside of what you've been saying since 1987, or did you just say it in a way that let publications run with it?
I didn't really change. I mean, to be honest with you, I've gotten publicity all throughout the world, especially in the 90s when the X-Files was on. There was a lot of interest in UFOs and stuff. And I always give the same message. I just want people to fully understand what we offer, and if it works for them, that type of thing. When I always pretty much, I tell the 100% truth. And I'm making fun of the insurance industry as much as I am the UFO abduction phenomenon, if you read the policy.
Right, yeah. Do we have any questions for Mike St. Lawrence of the St. Lawrence Insurance Agency?
Have you ever actually had to pay out one of these policies?
Well,
question.
we've approved 2 claims. One was an individual from upstate New York. He took out a policy, and he'd read about it in his local newspaper, having breakfast with his buddies at McDonald's, I think, and he'd been telling them forever that he had the experience of being abducted. And they said, you need to get in touch with this guy. So the guy said he had an implant, and it was examined by a professor at MIT, and he said it was not made of any earthly substance. So then I started sending him a check for $1 a year for a while until I lost contact with him.
What?
Wait a minute, hold on. You had someone who actually contacted you with an implant that wasn't of an earthly substance?
A gentleman from New York, and the guys at the McDonald's, and they said, you ought to buy a policy. That was that guy. He could not verify that it was in his body, because what he saw was outside his body.
Gotcha.
They just brought it with them.
But
well, that's
if it was not made of any earthly substance, that's pretty compelling just by itself. You know.
yeah, exactly.
I think there's a lot of cases of that, actually. I think there's a lot of instances where people have these, they're almost just like little flecks of metal tubes or something like that, and they always have a problem identifying where they're from or what sort of material they're made of. It seems to be not common, but there's a few cases out there.
Yep, I had another one from New York, too, that sent me a Polaroid picture of the inside of a UFO.
When Is that something
And
you
this
can
is-
share with
The
us?
guy had a Polaroid on the inside of a UFO?
And
What
but I
year
got to
was
tell
this?
you, when you looked at when I got the Polaroid picture, it was completely overexposed. You couldn't see anything. Okay, and he apologized because the lighting wasn't really good inside the UFO.
You'd think they'd get that down.
Just not
It's
set up for
written down in
photography.
the margins, this side up. Okay,
Nice. Did he really?
This side up.
he really did. I wanted to give him $1 a year for 10 million years just for his sense of humor. I think if you look on our website at UFO2001.com, you'll see we have something called the Texas IQ test. Did you get a chance to?
Yeah, what is that? Because that was,
Yeah,
that was
I
what?
love the name.
It's fun. So, yeah, can you just describe it to people who haven't been to UFO2001.com yet?
I like to tell people you can't get this if you don't get this. Okay, so and if I'd gone over the terms and conditions, you'd know better how to view it. And I ought to do that real quick because that explains a lot.
Yeah, there's only 3 questions, right?
Yeah, there's 3 questions. First, A, do you have a sense of humor? And if you answer yes more than one time, you do not qualify to get this. Okay. And the second part is, do you take this insurance coverage seriously? Most people say they have a sense of humor. At that point, if they say yes, then they're eliminated.
Yeah, exactly. Genius.
The third part is, were your parents related before they got married? Okay, so
That's valid.
The Texas IQ
Everybody
test.
gets
All
one
right.
yes. You get one yes. That's it.
I like it.
to go over just a couple of the conditions, it's a $10 million policy with $20 million double indemnity should there be extenuating circumstances. Part A is medical coverage and includes all outpatient psychiatric care. We know there's a readjustment, thing to go through if you go through something like that. Part B is sarcasm coverage, and this is limited to your immediate family members only.
Oh my gosh.
Nicely done.
Amazing.
We found out through research that 70% of all the sarcasm initiates in the immediate family anyway, so we got that covered. Part C is double indemnity or the sum of $20 million in the event A, the aliens insist on conjugal visits.
Oh, my good God.
Oh my god.
You really don't know where some of these guys have been. Part B, if the encounter results with any offspring ever referred to as the next missing link.
I mean, that's just good business
Yeah,
practice.
you got to cover your bases. You have to cover your bases.
Yeah.
Sounds like
And part C is if the aliens refer to the abductee as a nutritional food source or the other white meat.
So
Wow.
This is obviously something that, with a good sense of humor, this is something to me that seems like you have a really good grasp of what you can do within the law, and then you have fun with it. Do you have people who kind of criticize you?
Criticize me for being a smartass? That would.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Do you have
A
people?
professional one.
A professional smartass. Do you have people?
I would say it comes with the territory. No, I have gotten very little criticism ever. I've only made one refund, and we started this in 1987, and I had to send an older gentleman who heard on a radio show in the middle of the night, and when he threw his policy in his chest of drawers and didn't open it up for another 10 years and saw that it was a humorous policy, and he thought it was the real thing.
Oh,
Wow.
Was that Art Bell, the overnight radio show guy?
No, I always wanted to do a show with him. I sent him a policy trying to get publicity with him, and he didn't respond to it. But George Norrie.
Oh, okay, I think I've
George Norrie from Coast to Coast AM?
Correct.
So
Boom.
George Norrie took over from Art Bell when Art Bell retired, I think in 1998, right?
I think it was later than that. I think it was in early 2000s. I was on the show in 2005, and he'd been on for about a year and a half or two. It had been his show.
So how was that like, hearing the voice of God?
He was real nice to me, and all the staff and everybody. I got an amazing response. I think we did the interview around Thanksgiving, and we probably sold about 350 policies that Christmas.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Nice. So would you say the holiday time of the year, do you see like a big uptick in...
Yeah, do people give us gifts?
It is.
Here's the
You know how
policy
they
as a
say we
gift.
do 50% of our business during the Christmas season?
Wow.
That holds true for this. I make as much money during Christmas. If I get publicity, I don't really advertise, but I never would have thought it was a Christmas gift.
No, it doesn't seem like it. So if we have any listeners out there who are, curious, how would someone look up this information? And, I think everyone wants to know, how much would it be to just,
Yeah.
Your basic policy.
Insurance is that peace of mind. How much would it be to get alien abduction insurance?
Tier 1.
You can't be turned down for this regardless of your age or your frequent flyer status. We have a frequent flyer endorsement, however, which is a separate page in the policy, that limits the benefits to one occurrence per policyholder. You can't collect more than once. You could still get $1 a year for 10 million years. That's the way we pay, like the lottery does.
Right.
That's awesome.
We don't want to burden you with a bunch of money at one time.
Very
We
kind.
tell people this isn't about money; it's about peace of mind.
Our guest tonight is Mike St. Lawrence from the St. Lawrence Insurance Agency.
Now, I wonder, were you ever concerned that actual aliens would take out policies on themselves and then game the system that way?
Good question.
I don't think our money's any good where they're from.
They're trying to open up new markets.
So I saw online that the Guinness Book of World Records actually acknowledged your insurance agency. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
It was news to me. People would call in and they'd say they saw where I was in the Guinness Book of World Records, and I went and I looked it up, and they never contacted me or anything, but I am the originator of it. There was another company in England that plagiarized what we were doing. 2 weeks after an article came out in the London Independent paper, which is a reputable paper over there, they published saying that they had offered UFO abduction insurance and they were approving a claim. They were charging $1,000 a year, and they were misrepresenting what they were doing. You know that guy the people in San Diego that committed suicide, Heaven's Gate?
Oh, Heaven's Gate
Yeah.
cult, yeah, 1997.
They said they had them covered, which ticked me off because I was the guy that started it, and they copied, completely what I had done and acted as if they had been doing it.
So, Mike, if people want further information, would you direct them to UFO2001.com?
That would be the best place to go. There's a phone number if they want to call me and have any questions. I think they should know from our talk here about what we're all about.
God, I would hope. You just never know, Mike. You never know.
Perfect.
Mike St. Lawrence of the St. Lawrence Insurance Agency, a Guinness World Record holder. Thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Well, that was absolutely amazing. Thank you very
awesome.
much, Mike
Very
St.
cool.
Lawrence.
Dude, yeah.
St. Lawrence Insurance Company. You can get insurance to make sure if you get abducted, you get paid, honey.
And that's peace of mind.
It is. It makes you feel good when you go out at
You
night.
can't put a price tag on that.
You can't.
Thank
No.
you.
Nope.
You go to sleep at night, you know when you wake up the next morning, if you've been probed, you get a check in the mail.
Coming up, we will hear from Angela, who will give us a Season 8 premiere review of the Game of Thrones. This is their last season. Kaz has 2 Marvel characters who are going to really blow your mind in terms of the scope of things he was telling me earlier. And also Mandaddy, well, he saw the movie Silence on Netflix. Don't go anywhere. You are listening to Fort Fritz on Real Radio 104.1.
Fort Fritz on Real Radio 104.1.
Yep, that's right. Welcome back to Fort Fritz. I'm your host, Fritz. Joined as always by Mandaddy,
Hi.
Angela,
Hi.
and Kaz. Sometimes it's not okay to curse. For instance, if you
The
are
heck you say?
in an elevator, crowded mall, crowded church, anything crowded.
What about an empty church? That's fine.
No, never.
Oh.
But that's okay because we have edited versions of our podcasts and our minisodes and also broadcasts at realradio.fm. Just click on podcasts and click on Fort Fritz. You will hear all of our stuff completely squeaky clean. That's the sound effect. A squeegee.
That was good.
That's very nice.
I like
It took me a
I
second,
didn't like
but I
Michael
got it.
Winslow.
I was
It was
like,
like-
I don't know. Yeah.
You can also download the absolutely free app, iHeartRadio app, and just search Fort Fritz. Mandaddy, how is that spelt?
That is I with a heart and radio. It's iHeartRadio. IHEARTRADIO.
And then just download it, and you can hear all of our funny hijinks and misadventures, but
A lot of misadventures.
completely clean, so you can play it in front of, the little ones while you're
little ears.
sanding your deck or mopping the floors, whatever you got to do.
How can you listen to something where you're sanding a deck that's usually a pretty loud affair?
Headphones.
Thank you.
Headphones, yeah.
Depends, maybe, yeah.
Something like Beats by Dre, bumping. All right, so right now we're going to talk to Angela. Angela is going to keep us up to date on what is going on with Game of Thrones. They just had the premiere episode, and she's going to give us her thoughts, and she's going to try not to spoil it for all the people out there that haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it yet, what are you waiting for? It's been like days.
Yeah,
So-
is it good?
It was good. It's been about almost 2 years since the
Put near, yeah.
season 7. So one thing that I noticed people were really upset about with this episode, just to start this off, everyone had the assumption that every episode was going to be like 2 hours long.
Right.
This first episode was like 54 minutes, I think.
What?
Right.
They didn't even hit the whole hour.
The second, and there's only 6 episodes in this season, by
Right.
the way, to finish all this up. The second episode, I think, is another only 50-something minute episode. But then the rest of them are all like 70, 80 minutes.
Right.
So the last 4 episodes are going to be super long, tie everything up. Who knows where the hell it's going to go.
So this is a precursor. Like, get ready, buckle yourself
Oh,
in.
it's going to be a bumpy
yeah,
ride.
Yeah, it is.
Get the popcorn out of the pantry. Don't make it yet. You still got one more 48-minute long episode.
Yes. I mean, one thing that everyone's aware of is that a lot of people are gathering in Winterfell with the Starks. So that is really where a lot of stuff is happening in this episode. I have to be honest, I was a little underwhelmed with it.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I've been hearing of that a lot, and here's my take, is that season openers are always the way that episode is, because you
That's
have to
true.
touch on every character. You want to look at every little plot line, 'cause there's so many. So it's going to be you're not going to get all your meat and your action in that first episode. It's just setting up. And I thought the things that they set up and little things were just awesome. I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
I agree with that. I thought the dialogue was a little bland. I thought it was just kind of very like this, yeah, but this, yeah, but this. Next scene, this,
Like-
but this.
Are we
Next
talking
scene.
Fox sitcom bland?
Yeah, I kind of
that's a pretty bland.
I compared it to like a CW show.
Oh, no, that's way worse.
Went into the Arrowverse with
That's
this.
how it felt.
I didn't really care about that. I don't. That's
There
really
were a couple of
interesting.
scenes that I felt very like uncomfortable. Like it felt a little cheesy to me, but
There was one scene in particular that was majestic and cheesy simultaneously.
yeah.
Yeah. Which
So-
is hard to do.
Yeah.
The elephant in the room.
No, they didn't have any.
No, not there weren't any.
I'm looking at Kaz right now.
Okay.
Kaz, have you seen this season premiere?
I have not, no.
Okay.
I was too busy winning Game of Thrones trivia.
I was about to say, the man killed it on my Game of Thrones trivia last night. Slaughtered everybody like the Red Wedding. It was amazing.
No one can help you.
Yeah, I feel bad for you, son.
Listening to, ever since the premiere, I mean, people are dropping spoilers. It's not for that episode, but for the season in general. I mean, they're just at this point. There's so many iconic things that people, when you say Red Wedding or things like this, it's already in the zeitgeist. It's out there.
People know what that is.
You're right.
But for the most part, I really did enjoy this episode. I thought there were some really wonderful performances, especially by John Bradley, who plays Samuel Tarly. I just thought, the scenes that he did.
That's the biggest he stretched.
Oh, it was really wonderful. Those were the most compelling scenes for me to watch. And, to kind of see some people and, like, their character arcs were pretty incredible throughout all these seasons. And to see them, who they are now, being badasses from where they began and really sticking to that and, being who they have become was really, really great to watch. I mean, it's just such a well-done show. Some people have their problems with it. I've just been so invested in the show. I watch every season multiple times all the time. It's constantly on in my house. I mean, I can quote certain episodes and scenes, and you can say certain lines. I mean, some people have, like, specific lines that you just, like, constantly repeat to people, and
There's a few good ones
Yeah,
in
there's
the new
definitely-
episode.
yeah.
Daenerys had a really good one early on.
I am really sad to see this whole show be over.
It's going to hurt.
They're going to
Yeah.
do, like, spin-offs, right? They're going to do
They are going to
prequels
do
and stuff
some
like that.
prequels. I think it's going to focus mostly on the Targaryens, correct?
I haven't read really anything.
Yeah.
From what
Like
I
the
heard,
Age
I
of
thought they were going to
Kings
do
or
Age of
Yeah.
Heroes.
Age of Heroes, sorry.
Which Age of Heroes kind of delves into, like, weird god stuff. It's like Bran the Builder who built the wall and, like, all this, like, stuff. It's supposed to be kind of myth in the actual, like, lore of the story.
Really?
Or if these are myths coming from, actions of people who did something extraordinary but not necessarily supernatural or whatever.
Do you mind if I just jump into some commonly asked questions about Game of Thrones and whether or not I, as someone who has not watched a single second, if this is something I can jump in on, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so
Bring it.
question number one. How do I watch Game of Thrones?
With your eyeballs.
Open.
Open?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Any other specific information?
You should try to have the sound up.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's on HBO.
HBO.
It's on HBO. HBO Go. Maybe borrow someone's login for that. Maybe.
No one does that. We would never advocate something like
Or
that.
maybe pay for it through Amazon Prime.
There you go.
Which I do. And so, yeah, it's on HBO Go. Every season's on there, so you can go through it all and catch up.
Can I watch this episode without having watched any other
No,
episode?
not
Absolutely
even a chance.
not.
No, that'd be the worst thing you could ever do.
And what I suggest for people who have never watched the show, is obviously watch it chronologically,
Yeah.
unlike I did, because it was shown to me out of order, and I was very confused.
Oh, God.
That's just mean.
Why?
I know. Because Mr. Angela had seen it 1,000 times and would just play random episodes, and I'd be like, I thought that guy was dead. And he's like, it's season 1 now. And I'm like, why are we watching it out of order? Why are you doing this to me? I had no idea what was going on. I could not get invested in it. Finally, watched the whole thing. Watch it with the subtitles, the closed caption.
That does help.
It helps because there are 1,000 characters. And yes, some people have like really thick Scottish accents and kind of helps you know what's going on. You can put faces to names. Once I tell people that, it like is a game changer for them.
A Game of Thrones
nice. Good
changer.
tip.
A Game of Thrones changer.
You just answered question 3. Is it a foreign production? So I'm out.
It's the main thing about it is give it a few episodes. You know,
Okay.
I mean, like Jim Colbert was talking that he watched the first episode and turned it off before the ending. He turned it off with 10 minutes still to go of the first episode.
That's where it changes
Meaning
everything.
That's the big change.
Right.
The
I
very
didn't know
last
that.
scene.
The guy gets his
No. You're
No.
talking about the
No.
season. We're talking about the first episode.
I was talking about the dude from the One Does Not Simply Listen. That guy.
No,
He gets,
not Sean Bean.
First episode,
Yeah.
something terrible happens to a little boy.
He does die in everything.
He does. I mean, he really has the
Yeah.
shortest contracts of any actor out there.
He's in, he's out. He's
By
a
the
pro.
way, I just saw somewhere recently, like, whatever, no judgment, but that guy's been married like 5 times.
Sean Bean?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, did he think that because he dies that he can just get married
Nope,
again?
that wasn't
He's
me.
constantly dying in movies. That's like, well, till death do we part. I
And
died.
I died.
Next.
He
Like,
found the loophole.
Yeah, he did.
He found the loophole. Way to go, Sean.
yeah.
well done.
Hey, wait a minute. I died in Rockabilly Zombie Weekend.
Trace?
Oh, Lady Daddy's going to be super
Lady
pissed.
Daddy's gonna be mad.
Daddy, I forgot about
So, Angela, the premiere of the very last season of Game of Thrones, was it good?
It was good.
Okay.
It was good.
Did it answer questions or did it posit even more?
Oh, no, it just kind of set us up for what else is coming.
Okay.
So, kind of gathered everybody together, saw everyone's reactions to everybody, but this big looming thing is coming, so it'll change everything.
Has the drama been built up or is it just...
Oh, yes, for
Okay.
sure. Yeah.
So basically by nothing happening, and in air quotes, this is going to be a really brutal last season, probably.
Definitely.
There was one particular scene that was very intense that kind of did that whole Game of Thrones creepy, this thing looming that's happening, that was like, that's what I wanted, was something intense and creepy like that. The suspenseful thing that's
What was
coming.
it about? What was it around?
So this is coming from Kaz, who has not seen it yet. So Kaz, would you like to know on air? I mean, we can tell you.
I mean,
Hell,
should we
I can
not?
look
I'm just going to say the Night King left a message.
Oh, shh.
And and it is
That's an honest reaction.
badass.
Yeah, it's
massive, tons of badassery.
Yeah,
Yes.
because as soon as they walked in there and saw it, I was like, yes, but no.
That's Game of Thrones right there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's Game
Yeah.
of Thrones in a nutshell. Is, yeah, no. You scream at your screen more than that show than anything else.
Right. And I will say I don't know if it would be considered a foreign production. It's really an American show,
Yeah.
but they
George Martin's American. Most of the actors are like British.
It's
right?
George
Right.
R.R. Martin, right?
George R.
Or is R.R. Georgie Martin?
It's like
Georgie.
J.R.R. Martin
I'll look it
Tolkien.
But most of the actors are British,
Scottish.
They are.
It's all like
Well, I
pilfered
guess
heavily from like
if you're
BBC.
Scottish,
shows.
you are British, right? Because you're part of Great Britain.
Don't tell them that.
Yeah, don't say that. I wouldn't say it to one of them.
George R.R. Martin.
And a lot of Danish actors as
That's
well.
true.
Yeah.
Danes.
This is going to be quite a watershed moment, I think, in popular culture, because this is, it's that fantasy drama element, but it's also supernatural in that the White Walkers, the dire wolves, this entire franchise has done such a good job of bringing all of those fringe elements into something that is completely unique.
Right.
And they've made this entire universe. So it's gonna get sloppy, right?
It's going to get pretty
there's
crazy.
a lot of people going to die.
Yeah.
like to-
I did make my my death list.
Wow.
Yeah. So before we watched that first episode, the group that I was watching it with, we all made a list of who would be alive and who would be dead.
Is it like in order? Like, do you have to, if you don't hit number 1, number 2, number 3, or is it just like who you
No,
think is
no,
gonna be-
just
Oh,
like,
okay.
and some people have done it where they have like,
This one's gonna die, then this one, then this
well,
one.
no, some people have like life, like they live, they die, and they become a walker. But it was like, well, if they become a walker, that's technically dead.
Yeah.
So
You're
we
no
just
longer
made
who
2
you are.
different columns, and I mean, I think I was preparing myself emotionally. I pretty much just put everyone dead, and I'm like, I'm just, you know what? I'm just gonna get used to it. I'm just gonna get used to everyone that I love is gonna die.
Yeah,
Like,
pretty much.
Thank you. It sounds like it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better.
yeah, I've heard that the ending's bittersweet, and I've heard that George R. R. Martin didn't like the ending.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I heard that too, actually.
And also for people who are book people or never read the books or interested in reading the books, haven't watched the show at all, Kaz has read all of them, probably multiple times, right?
Oh,
Yes.
no,
Yes.
look, he just did his little hot dog dance with his head.
The show is completely different. Once you get to a certain point,
They just split.
it's gone a completely different direction because characters who are dead in the show aren't in the book, vice versa. I mean, there's just some people are like amalgamations of other characters in the books. So like multiple things are happening to this one person that are like separate people in the books.
Thank you. I was going to ask what amalgamation was.
So
Amalgamation.
amalgamation. That's when they do it in TV. So the direction they've gone in the show is vastly different from how the books will be. So also just know that. So you actually get two endings basically with these characters.
I've been waiting for book 6. George, if you can hear me, if you can hear my voice,
That's Kaz at fortfritz.com. George R.R. Martin.
I'm done waiting. I don't
Yeah.
care anymore.
Thank you.
It's over. Like
Yeah.
every year, I'm like, this is going to be the year when he like announces that it's going to come out, and they're like, no, but hey, guess what? Another historical social studies compendium of the world of ice and fire or whatever. And it's like, those are great. I love them, but put out the book, dude.
Kaz is very, very passionate about what he reads because he has a very, very interesting story about two Marvel characters coming up, and also Mandaddy saw a movie. Well, he thinks a certain way about it.
a very strong way about it.
You're listening to Fort Fritz on Real Radio 104.1.
Fort Fritz on Real Radio 104.1.
Welcome back to Fort Fritz. I'm your host, Fritz, joined as always by co-host Mandaddy,
Hi.
Angela,
Hello.
and Kaz.
Hi.
Be sure to download that iHeartRadio app. Search all of your favorite Fort Fritz moments. Share them with friends. Right, Mandaddy? I think that's the
there's
most
a lot
important.
of tender moments, a lot of touching moments. And if you never listen, the radio show is the radio show. The podcast is the podcast. The podcast, you've got some storylines, you've got some sound effects, you got some funsies going on. So check it out. Let people know about it. That is the Fort Fritz podcast. That's on iHeartRadio. So right now, Kaz, I hear you got some new comic book oriented news to hip us to.
So I've never been like a big comic book guy, right? But I have specific like weird nerdy like little pockets that I fall into, and one of them is the movie franchise. I know it was a comic book originally, I believe. Blade.
Yes.
Wesley Snipes' Blade.
Oh my God!
I love
yeah.
Blade. It was so dorky but cool, and I really like Wesley Snipes. And the second one had like all my favorite people in it. It was like Guillermo del Toro directed it. The RZA did the soundtrack. Ron Perlman was in it. Donnie Yen was in it. Norman Reedus was in it. It was just fantastic. Fantastic movie. I love it.
When you say dorky, nerdy / uncool, was that the
I didn't
graphic
mean uncool.
novel?
I mean, like
maybe I was just self-projecting.
The first movie was kind of like more what you expect from like a superhero movie. It was like, you know, very martial artsy kind of, but shot in an interesting way. The storyline I thought was interesting. The character was interesting. But again, I was like a little kid and I was just watching like Wesley Snipes beat up vampires, and it was awesome. Like it was just resonated with me, I guess, when I was 10. I don't remember when it came out.
Was this also a graphic novel before the movie?
I
It was a
believe
comic.
so,
It was
yes.
it was a comic series.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a
because-
Marvel character.
I
So-
just immediately knew about it because of the movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I had no idea. It was
So
Marvel.
Blade is he's a vampire hunter,
Mm-hmm.
but he
Like Buffy.
is correct. Knows martial arts similar to Buffy, but he is half vampire.
Not like Buffy.
So he's a vampire. He needs to consume blood, or he has this with the development of his old friend Whistler. Develops this like serum that he can take that like acts as like this like substitute for blood. So he doesn't actually have to kill people, but unlike normal vampires, he can walk around during the day. He's like a normal person.
Daywalker.
He's a daywalker. So, First Blade was awesome. Stephen Dorff was the main antagonist in that, and he was in True Detective season 3 recently. Completely, like you said,
so
unrecognizable.
Great. Yeah, it was so good.
In Stephen Dorff Blade versus Stephen Dorff True Detective is like it's like Steven Dorff's dad. I don't know how much time like has passed between there, but it's like Dad Dorff. Anyway,
Daddy Dorff.
it sounds a little more
It's
sexy
weird.
that way.
And
Daddy Dorff.
oddly erotic.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not. So who is Blade paired up with in this comic?
So in the comic, I just read about it. Apparently, the guy has been writing it. And I'm blanking on his name right now, but he said he's been writing it for 10 years.
Ooh.
Blade versus Wolverine.
What?
Whoa.
Right? So I like when they pit like two good, like to the Batman versus Superman thing. They pit like
did
two
you know
good
this,
guys.
Angela Mandaddy, did you know it would be Blade versus Wolverine
No,
in the Marvel?
I was thinking who it would be,
No.
but I didn't think. But I mean, when you think about Blade with the guy with the blades, kind of works.
It's an interesting
Is it an
idea.
equal fight?
I don't know. Probably not.
Is
I
it
feel
ever
like
an
not.
equal fight
But
with
why would they
Wolverine?
fight?
No.
Yeah.
Do you know
Why
Wolverine,
would they fight?
Wolverine fought the Hulk. The Hulk ripped him in half, and his half body had to crawl like 2 miles to get his other body. So Wolverine is a little tough to beat.
I read a tweet recently that made me laugh. It was, I figured out Wolverine's superpower. It's not super healing. That Canadian universal healthcare just be hitting mad fast.
That's good though.
I like
That
that.
was really good.
So yeah, Blade versus Wolverine, and Blade and Wolverine were kind of two of the ones that, like, as a little kid, X-Men, the animated series, he was badass, and then they did the Days of Future Past where he's like in the bubbly tank. It's like just a skeleton. I'm like, who could have killed Wolverine? It was like one of those like moments of like the good guy can die. Like, so I'm interested. I normally am not like a comic book reader, but I think I'm gonna end up checking this out just because it's Blade and Wolverine, and like it sounds very, very cool. In reading that, I actually saw that apparently there are now talks to possibly reboot the Blade franchise with Wesley Snipes again.
Yep. Yeah, there's still talks about bringing back Wesley.
Right.
There's actually there's 2 movies in production, one with him and one without him, and we'll see which one actually gets fully funded. You know,
I feel like Wesley just has the badass Blade thing going for him, right? It's like he's just he's a little sarcastic, and he's got that kind of like jaded, like I'm over this kind of thing, but at the same time he's whipping tail. Can we say ass? Is ass cool?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
he's whipping
Ass is
ass.
always cool. Do you guys want to do a little quiz?
sure.
It'll be like 2 minutes. Does anyone know Wolverine's birth name?
Logan something.
No, it's not. It's not Logan. It's
Oh man, I have no idea.
Harris.
James Howlett.
yeah.
Does anyone know Blade's given name?
Jasper.
It's Jasper.
Jasper the Vampire Hunter.
It's actually Jasper.
Is it really?
No, it's
No, it's
Eric
not.
Brooks. But that was a good guess.
I was gonna guess Brooks as the last name.
Here
I'm
is
kidding.
the.
Jasper
Damn it!
Brooks.
Damn it,
I'm
I
sorry.
almost said it.
I cut you off. I'm sorry.
So close.
Last one. Which year did Blade debut, and which year did Wolverine make their first appearance in the Marvel Comics universe? What year did Blade debut, and what year did Wolverine debut?
Blade had to have been.
Blade I'd put in late 80s.
Late 80s,
early
from
90s.
Mandaddy.
In the comic, this is not the movie.
This is the Marvel Comics,
okay.
the Marvel universe.
87 for Blade.
87 from Angela.
I'm saying
Mandaddy.
91.
Do you want to?
I'll go 88.
87 from Angela, 88 from Mandaddy, 91 from Kaz. Okay, before I say that, let's do Wolverine.
Oh, that's
That's much
70 something.
I'd go 71.
71 from Mandaddy. That's the first hard answer. Angela, Kaz, anyone?
76.
76 from Kaz. 71 from Mandaddy.
I'm going to say 66.
Probably a good call.
66.
That's a good
That is
call.
a really, really good call. Unfortunately, had you guys reversed that, you would have
Really?
been somewhere close. Blade made his debut July 1973.
Really?
What?
Wolverine made his debut November 1974.
Oh.
Wolverine
damn.
post dates Blade, and Blade precedes Wolverine. I didn't know that.
That's really
interesting.
crazy.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that. I always think of Wolverine as the kind of like cornerstone Marvel
Yeah,
kind
Right.
of character.
Yeah.
I mean, he is one of the quintessential to me Marvel comic book characters, especially from the X-Men.
Right.
It's him and Storm and Cyclops.
A lot of people hate Cyclops. There's a lot of hate for Cyclops for some
I
reason.
mean, it's a comic book. Grow up. I got nothing else to say to you.
You don't understand comic books.
So, Blade Wolverine, do you think it's going
I
to...
think it'll be cool. I'm interested to see how it's what they're gonna do. Like in Batman versus Superman, one of them became like evil, right? And they had to
Sure.
like be stopped. So I wonder if they play on that or if they're just like, I don't like you.
Yeah.
we're both okay guys, I guess.
Well,
They're
it's
kind
weird.
of
It's just out
anti-hero.
of what Blade does. Why is Blade messing with the mutant? It sounds more like me. It'd probably be Wolverine has to go after Blade.
For what?
Wow. I don't know.
But just I don't see why Blade would go after Wolverine,
Wolverine
it's,
sort of seems like he wouldn't really care whatever was going. Like unless
Unless
it's like
Blade
a
did
direct
something.
threat. Right,
Yeah.
exactly. I hear there's a very strong movie review coming. I sense a strong movie review coming from over here. Mandaddy, what do you got?
From your brooding silence.
So I've reviewed a number of movies on this show, and I tend to be very nice. I tend to enjoy what I watch, and I watch what I enjoy.
That's
Usually
true.
like 6s and above.
Yeah, you're usually really
I'm very nice.
Yeah.
And so last night,
Soft.
I was in thoughts of the show. I was like, I needed something to talk about, and I turned on the Netflix, and up popped up a new movie called Silence with Stanley Tucci.
Okay.
And so I'm
Love
like, hey,
Stanley Tucci.
let's give this a try. And I would like to say the movie Silence on Netflix is the hottest of garbage in the land. Take all the garbage, find out which garbage is hot, and this is hotter, saltier, steaming garbage.
Salty garbage.
Salty, horrible garbage. It was so bad. First, you had A Quiet Place. Absolutely amazing movie.
Okay, I was like,
so well done.
Why is that the first movie that popped to your mind?
Well, because it's the same. It's the same idea.
Seen that.
You still haven't seen Quiet Place?
No.
So worth your time.
Yeah.
So worth both of your times.
You
I
name it,
loved
I
it.
haven't seen
Really
it.
enjoyed it.
All right.
And so then, which of course you're in a world in the Quiet Place where there's these monsters that are killing everyone on the planet, and you just can't make a sound. And that's the main thing
Right,
about Quiet
yeah,
Place, which is the exact same thing with Silence. It's basically you're in a world where you can't make sound. But here's the difference.
Oh my God! Really? Like
Yes.
that's a little
It's
like
the-
it just happened.
We talked
Right.
about this, the Armageddon Deep Impact,
Yeah.
right? Like you
Yes.
gotta like
Same
come
thing.
on the heels of the cool thing that like
Kaz was right again.
Stupid.
And here's the thing: when you watch,
Angela.
nice. When you watch A Quiet Place, there is such an urgency to it. The movie is very quiet. It is a quiet place. When you're watching the movie, it is silent. And the main the girl that's the actress in it wasn't actually a deaf actress. And so just this urgency and the tension. This movie has none of that. None. Not one bit. It is just horribly done. And so the whole idea is that they're doing some sort of excavation, and they open up some temple that has been open up for like 20,000 years, and all these weird little bat creatures fly out and just start eating everybody. That's it. Bats flying, little bat things flying around eating everybody, and they're attracted to sound. And so there you go, the whole thing. Everybody tries to be quiet. The movie is never quiet once. There is not one quiet moment in this entire movie because these stupid bat things make this horrible noise constantly. And so they're like sitting there trying to creep around all silently, but all you hear is it's like, okay, why? Like, there's one scene where Stanley Tucci is trying to be really silent, but there's this one little bat next to him, and he's trying to go around that, and the bat's just screaming away. And wouldn't that attract some of the other bats?
Yes.
Not in this world, not at all. There is just, once again, there's one scene where a random woman is loudly protecting her house. She gets attacked and sent down, and it sounds like a well. Like, you can hear her go, oh, but her feet never leave. It's obviously a fire pit, and someone who's doing the sound just said, oh, that looks like a well. Looks like it sounds like she's going down a well. Nope, it's a fire pit. You can see her feet the entire time. There's one point where there's a rattlesnake shows up.
he's got notes, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I actually wrote notes. That's how much this movie pissed me off.
Rattlesnake.
There's a guy's in a tube,
Rattlesnake.
and there's a rattlesnake, just a rattlesnake, and 50 yards away, 20 feet in a tube, but they can hear it over all the screaming bats. There's bats screaming, but the one, and the bat's like, oh! So they're like, it makes no sense. Once again, there's one part where a guy is trying to slowly, carefully open this gate,
But why? When you have bats?
Right, okay, like here, if we can, since we're
sure.
we're for we can do this. So right now, give me the sound of a bunch of just birds flying around.
Well, it's going to take me some time. You got it.
Okay, there you go. That's nice. Okay, and add just a bunch of squawking and chirping and just a cacophony of noise. Okay,
Kinda like that.
That's it. Okay, perfectly. So that right there is the whole movie, and that's the movie called Silence is what you're hearing right now. Let's listen to Silence. Yeah, that's totally silent.
It
Totally
was
silent.
silent until you started talking.
That's right. That's true because evidently the bat screaming sound is a version of silence in the world. There's a weird scene with someone, a sexy scene in a bathtub where you see someone's giant talon scar for no reason. It's just there is no tenseness. There's a scene where thunder is happening and doesn't change anything. It's like, well, when the bats run to the thunder,
Right.
They're just doing their thing. It is hot, hot garbage. This movie actually made me mad. I was like tweeting about it the whole time. It's just not. Stanley Tucci, love you, and Tucci gang, all the way. Of course. But damn, man, damn it, I'm get that paycheck, but damn, man.
Well, I mean, I think I speak for everyone when I say, how many Mandaddy beard pools would you review Silence out of 7?
Shave it off.
Don't even touch the beard.
Don't even touch your beard. Shave it off.
0.
Oh my gosh.
Here's what I want everyone to do. I want everyone to watch this movie with their friends and riff track it. You can watch this and do your own Mystery Science Theater 3000 with this film so easily because it is just so bad. So get your friends together.
What's up, boy?
And just laugh at this horrible piece of trash, man. I love good movies and I love fun movies, but to take this idea that's already been done, because he had Bird Box, which some people love, some people hate, which is the same thing, but with Sight. And now it's like, okay, well, let's do it again with sound. Just here's the idea. Okay, it's called Silence with no silence. How about that? Huh? How's that edgy? Horrible. Just horrible. Just made me mad. Still makes me mad.
They should make one without smells.
You can't
Was
smell.
it Smangry?
Smangry? What is Smangry,
When
Angela?
smells make you angry.
Smangry.
Well, you heard it here first.
Smanger
Please
management.
watch it with your friends and laugh at how bad it is.
Sometimes you want to watch a really, really bad movie and go, I can make a better
So
movie
you know
than
what the
that.
good stuff is, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you're looking for a palate cleanser, this is basically like licking sandpaper, okay? I just basically started hate watching it, like 20 minutes in, just like, So that right there is my review of the film Silence on Netflix.
Well,
watch
that
it
sucks.
if you want to torture yourself alone or get your friends in a room, pop a keg, and have some fun with it. That's the only way you can enjoy this movie.
Mandaddy, it's getting about that time where we can't spend a night in this haunted house. So, we got to kick
It
people
is
out.
time to check out of the fort. Once it starts getting a little dark here in the fort, things get a little scarier, so we got to get out. We got to wrap it up, let you know what's going on in our lives. We want you to check out.
blue.
It gets a little blue. What do you want to wrap it up with there, Fritzy?
Well, I am building a guitar with my brother, and it is a Fender Jaguar, and I would love to show you photos. So just go to realradio.fm, click blogs and Fritz, and you will see them. If you've ever wanted to do something, do it. Whatever time is more convenient to you, call up a friend who will hold you in check and just do the damn thing. And you can encourage that person to do something that they've never done before. So that,
Very cool.
I will say, check out yourself.
Boom.
Wow.
Angela?
Well, again, I want to plug my Fringe show. Does that make sense? Tickets just went on sale on Monday at orlandofringe.org. So look up Does That Make Sense? And please come see our show. And then also, I recently did my first film. And the trailer just came out, so I'll post that on our page.
Oh,
What's it called?
It's called Forever Tea Party. I play a fairy. It was a really cool experience. I had never done anything like that before. Boom mics and everything, costumes and makeup artists and hair, and it was really an incredible experience.
So this trailer is out. Anyone can view it?
Yes, and it's directed by Barry Kirsch. So if you want to see it, check out realradio.fm, go to the blogs, and look up Fritz, and I'll post the trailer there.
Hell yeah.
Kaz, what you got?
So like I said in the last one, I've got 3 done. I'm looking at a potential full 6, kind of a, not Aesop's Fables, but I'm doing like little short stories that are going to compile into like a larger kind of longer thing. But you'll probably never read it, so I'm not posting it on anything. So you can,
Just
I'll
wanna
let
tease,
you guys
just
read it.
tease.
Oh, okay.
You guys
All
will be
right.
able to read it, but
I have
like
this amazing thing, and no one's going to see it.
if it gets the nod of approval from you guys, then maybe we'll post a snippet on something of iHeart. But it's radio, and this is going to be text version, so I don't know if the radio people can read or not.
Well, also, sometimes you have to, as a creative person, you have to create something for yourself.
And that's mostly what this has been.
You
Yeah,
can't
pretty much.
always publish everything for someone.
But you also can't do art for other people. You have to do it for
Thank you.
yourself. It has to
Right.
mean something. If you're, that's when it turns into crap. It's not for people. It's really for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It's
where
a
it starts.
therapy. What you got, Mandaddy?
Well, of course, as always, please, I would love to see some of y'all at my trivia nights. I host trivia 1st, 3rd, and 5th, if they're there, Mondays at Orlando Brewing. Of course, this week we did Game of Thrones trivia, and Kaz destroyed it like a Dothraki on meth. Absolutely amazing.
Kaz
I
was
answered
saying-
most of my questions in Dothraki. I don't know if you noticed that. I put the Dothraki translation next to it.
I also do trivia at Lucky's Market on Tuesdays from 5 to 7, and also I do 90s trivia at Cheers Altamont on Thursdays at 7. I'd really love to see some new players at Cheers and Altamont. Great drink specials, great people. But the main thing I also want to let you know about, 420 at Will's Pub is the big CBD throwdown. A lot of bands playing. My band Gargamel's going to be playing. Kaylee Baker's going to be playing. Groove Trunk. Anthony Cole's band's going to be playing. A lot of great products, a lot of great education about CBD oil.
Please direct these guests out of the fort.
Rick, we're glad you stopped by, but you gotta get out. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Thank you very much for listening. We are Fort Fritz, and you're just you.
Until next time, pleasant dreams.